Zenless Zone Zero, or aka ZZZ, and I am not talking no sleep, is an action-packed role-playing game that released on July 4th of 2024. Now let me not yap too long about simplistic details that we already know about, and get right into what you and everyone else wants to know. Is Zenless Zone Zero really worth playing in 2025? My name is Mikey, and I will be sharing my thoughts on this, so let's dive right into the video. First of all, we should talk about time investment within Zenless Zone Zero, because this is obviously an important topic when discussing a gacha game that you are currently playing or planning to pick up, which means that Ratatouille, Undercover Cop, Jane Doe is not enough reason for you to full send a gacha game. We are talking about how much of your day will be actually consumed by Zenless Zone Zero. So let's break it down. This game has very quick dailies. You can quite literally complete everything in this small area on 6th Street, which makes this very easy. No time really lost there. Also, depending on when you are watching this video, just recently they changed the weeklies, allowing you to obtain more polycom for doing tasks throughout the week. I'm going to estimate that you will have to log on at least 3 to 4 times a week to obtain all the rewards from the weekly logins. Also worth mentioning, these tasks aren't really that much of a pain, which is a good thing. Another very good thing worth mentioning is the TV screen mode in Zenless Zone Zero. Getting through the beginning portions of the game may be kind of a hassle because you have to go through all the TV screen modes in the game, which is and was a major topic when this game released. This topic is still being talked about right now as we currently speak. Some players actually do not mind the TV screen mode, while a lot of other players feel like it's a waste of time or it makes it feel slow and boring when you just want to jump in and slug it out with some anomalies. Due to the feedback since the game's release, the development team has made improvements towards the amount of time you will spend in the combat as opposed to in the TV screen modes. Speaking of which, unlike Genshin Impact, and I'm not hating, I'm just saying, Zenless Zone Zero's development team has made a skip button addition to their game, which helps the value of our time when playing this game, which is amazing. It's also very important to point out that Zenless Zone Zero is not an open world gacha game, which already helps the time you have to spend to actually explore the map and do tasks, side missions, and other things. You can just teleport to most of these areas without having to explore unknown regions, teleport to certain checkpoints to get to certain places. You know what I mean? You get an overall gist of it. It doesn't require extra work. I personally play Zenless Zone Zero free to play, and I found myself being able to complete my daily requirements and keep up with the game update after update, despite the fact that I am very busy and currently addicted to the 2.5D anime shooter Stranova, which I may have to actually go get therapy for because I've been playing this game way too much considering I already have over 100 hours and it released under a month ago. And honestly, I really don't remember the feeling of grass. Moving on to the next topic, the end game. You are a player that has completely maxed out on everything that you could possibly do, and you're running out of things to actually do. Thankfully, there is the end game content for you to actually get by while waiting for the next big patch to play the next bit of Zenless Zone Zero. This game started with only 2 end game modes at first, those being Shiyu Defense and Hollow Zero. Now, Shiyu Defense is a hardcore end game mode which requires you to clear a wave of enemies within a certain time period, with extra stipulations in order to obtain all the good marks and not a needs improvement on your next progress report. I'm really not quite sure if they even do those in school anymore. I wonder. Anyway, Shiyu Defense requires you to have at least 6 decently built units to take on these waves of enemies. Now, let's not forget about the 2 adorable Bangboos as well. Now, from personal experience, doing Shiyu Defense has been kind of a hardcore battle for me, and I'm pretty much a casual gamer when it comes to these gacha games. I'm trying to get more into depth with everything as well so I can get better at clearing these, but stuff like this takes time. So, for an everyday gamer, you might not have what it takes to be able to clear everything right away, which is okay. However, on the flip side, if you are just a straight demon, you can pretty much clear everything if you got the skill diff energy. Like if you really are him or her. You know what I mean. To sum up what Shiyu Defense is for those of you who play other Hoyoverse titles like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, you can compare it to the Spiral Abyss and Memory of Chaos from those games. Moving on to the second endgame mode, which is my personal favorite, the Hollow Zero. The Hollow Zero is an endgame mode that provides you with an absurd amount of rewards. It does involve the TV screen mode, however, for me, I actually don't mind it here. And that's because the game gets progressively harder and changes within the TV screen mode, making your choices and actions either work with you or against you. You have to clear floors within the Hollow Zero to reach the final boss to clear the entire run. For the most part, it's actually pretty fun and I love doing it. Now, for the newest addition to Zenless Zone Zero, we got the Tower of God. Wait, my bad, I just messed up the script. Can't confuse a mid-anime with the nice in-game mode from Zenless Zone Zero. My fault. Zenless Zone Zero's development team did not ruin the game as much as the anime studio that ruined Tower of God. Let's be real here. Anyways, the newly added Endless Tower game mode features levels in which you take characters into battle and any damage they take carries over to the next floor. I haven't personally dived deep into this game mode, but I will say it is definitely difficult and the most hardcore out of every endgame mode in Zenless Zone Zero. You can go as far as saying that button masher really won't save you in this game mode, which is honestly pretty cool to think about, I love playing Dark Souls in anime. I personally think overall Zenless Zone Zero has a really good end game modes for the most part and has a lot to do, which is great from a consumer's point of view. Now, is Zenless Zone Zero free to play? To be honest, I think it's only fair to rate it on my personal experience. I don't exactly have a high opinion on whether it is or not. It's a gacha game, so I mean, all I can really say is someone who takes out a down deposit on a new home is always going to have a better advantage than someone who's playing free to play and saving up their money like they're frugal, which is how you should be, because saving your money is very good for you in your life lesson. If you're young, save your money. However, I will say, since I am doing my account as a full free to play account, I've had the most fun on this game since I did that. You get the most out of the anxiety when rolling. If you don't end up getting characters, you have to make sacrifices and give up. Honestly, makes the game a lot more thrilling for the most part, and summoning for characters a lot more fun. My account personally is doing pretty good for a free to play account, and I am beyond grateful to the gacha gods. I won about 4 out of 5 in my 50/50, so I can't really complain. Any gacha game is playable free to play, but I would say in order to grind this game to the fullest to obtain most of the characters you want, you are gonna have to put the work in. I can say compared to other open world gacha game titles, I think it's gonna be a lot tougher to grind out most of the polychrome to actually obtain more and more characters, despite the fact that non-open world games requires less moving around to actually obtain the gacha currency. I personally feel there isn't enough to go around or availability to obtain to be able to maximize the characters to their fullest. It's like a double-edged sword. If you have an open world gacha game, yes, they are more taxing on you and more grind heavy. However, I feel as if there are way more rewards to obtain from an open world as a free to play. And well, if you play Wuthering Waves, you are just in luck, because that game you can practically just rely on the development team to absolutely cook out a great update, and on top of that, give you free rewards all the time. I really appreciate Kuro Games, man. As for the gameplay in Zenless Zone Zero, I gotta give credit where credit is due. The fighting feels a whole lot different from other gacha games I have played in the past. It's very smooth, it's not clunky, and everything feels like it has rhythm. Now, looking at a casual player's side of things as well, if you want to just play the game casually, it definitely can be done. But what I really respect about this game is that there is no cap on just gacha being the primary way to make a powerhouse of an account. There's actually points of your own skill level that can be improved to actually get better at the game. If you indeed wanted to get better at Zenless Zone Zero, you actually could. Now, it may seem like Zenless Zone Zero is just a hack and slash type of game, which I'm pretty sure I made that point in one of my older videos on my first impressions of the game. Well, I apologize, because I was dead wrong. In this game, you can actually take a step further by studying your character's kits, learning how to play the character to maximize their potential, and even take it a step further to learn how to actually combo enemies for satisfaction and style points. I know not every player will be going into extreme depths with this game like that, but it is worth mentioning that if you want to take it a step further and go from a casual to being a pro player, you can. Also, if you want to complete Endless Tower to its fullest, you kind of run out of options, because getting hit in Endless Tower will punish you very badly, as I mentioned before on some Dark Souls type beat. It's actually very hard, but that is good that we have game modes to challenge the people who want to put their skills and builds to the test. Not every single person is a casual player. Some people want to have the best time becoming the best version of themselves on this game. And I don't know why that sounded like some life quote that I should be giving you in an actual like life lesson video rather than a gacha game, but we're just gonna roll with it. The only other thing that I would mention that everyone is mad at is the TV screen mode. But as I mentioned earlier in this video, the development team has already heard the community's requests and taken a step back from the approach on the game, and has made it better for all players who enjoy the game with different options on turning off that mode. Unfortunately, you will have to play the first couple of chapters with it on, but it's not too bad considering the fact that they did change it early on in the game, and it's not that far out of reach like Genshin Impact is. I tried playing Genshin Impact multiple times already, and I just can't get into it because of how far I am. And I don't know, just me personally, I just don't enjoy it. As far as the UI goes in Zenless Zone Zero, I heard people having mixed opinions on it. Personally, I don't mind it. I actually think it's pretty cool the way they did it and tried to steer away from the typical everyday gacha UI. I'm personally in love with the addition to the home screen changer when you get agents to level 3 trust. Nice little cherry on top for reaching max level trust level with specific agents. I don't really see an issue with the UI. Eventually, you will get used to it the more and more you play the game. It just takes some time. And I've seen some really poorly designed UIs in games where it's really impossible to find everything. But like I said, ideally, it comes down to how often you play the game when it comes to anything, right? Like, you get a new job, you're not going to know anything at that job until it comes down to repetition. And that's just how the way the world works. Overall, I think Zenless Zone Zero is worth the commitment, and it goes further than the fact that the game just feels great and has lots of opportunity and potential to grow. I am not too big on lore, and I will say from what I experienced in my first year in the gacha space, lots of gamers aren't too interested in the lore as much as the actual gameplay itself. But I will say it's worth mentioning how interactive the dialogue is and the expressions we get from the characters during cinematic scenes, or even most importantly, the dialogue scenes that we have to read through, which we all normally hate. So yeah. Wait, Never mind, we got a skip button, so that's actually crazy. I forgot about that for a second. Also, they have this cool comic strip idea when they want to explain more of the story, which to me is a huge plus as well. And I will fully stand by what I say when I say this, but I think out of all the Hoyoverse gacha games, they did the best thing with the way they are telling the story in Zenless Zone Zero. I 100% believe this is the most engaging way they did it by far. This is just a bonus if you really do care about how well the characters actually engage with you when you have to read or listen to dialogue. And thank God there's no Paimon. Anyways, it really does seem like on the front end of things, Zenless Zone Zero just seems like a gooner game where you pull for your favorite waifus and get overly too wrapped up in other goonish activities like the Miyabi fan asking for her to step on her during the Yanagi story.
Lady Miyabi, please step on me.
Yeah, that happened. However, if you can overlook the marketing strategies that Hoyoverse has set to reel in players, then you got a pretty solid game. From the time that I uploaded this video, this game hasn't even reached its 6-month time of service, and I think with time they'll tweak things that need to be improved on. But for the most part, everything they are adding in and how the game feels as a whole is beyond subpar. Which, let's be real here, this is Hoyoverse's, I think, 4th gacha game. It's expected. To recap, the combat has great flexibility and changes depending on which units you are utilizing. There is already 3 endgame modes for you to grind at in between updates if you do decide to dedicate more time than an average casual player. It's not an open world gacha game, which if you are a busy type of person, you don't have to invest a crazy amount of time into the game to catch up or grind unless if you are 100% achiever. For free to play, it's important to understand that you will miss lots of opportunities and characters and plan strategies more. But like I mentioned before, I don't have a high opinion on whether it is or it isn't, considering the game is only a couple months old and I'm still getting used to being a free to play player. Always keep in mind this is a gacha game we are talking about, so anyone who pays money to try their chances with the gacha gods will always have a better advantage. Daily logins are for sure really quick, as mentioned earlier, that you can do everything in 6th Street and not have a problem. And the development team has been pretty good for the most part with adding changes to help everyday experiences as well, like the updated TV screen mode, adding ways to grab missed rewards from side missions by sending fairies, all the way to the time of day switches to help you with agent invitations and side missions to discover where they are and do them at the certain specific time of day. Overall, with how everything is playing out, I would highly recommend playing this game or at least giving it a try. It's a pretty solid game. That's all I have for today, guys. If you did enjoy the video, smash the subscribe button to find your way back to my channel, leave a like, and always comment your thoughts. Peace out.